for this afternoon, Subsquid Network AMA. We are joined by Dima, Adam, and Marcel from our team. My name is Rotem, and I'm Ecosystem Engagement Lead at Subsquid. And we're super happy to have you with us today to talk about our network. So let's start first with a little bit of introduction. So each of you, please introduce yourself super shortly so people will kind of know who you are, know who they're listening to. So, Marcel, you start.
Sure. My name is Marcel. I am one of the co-founders at Subsquid, mainly actually in charge of finances, compliance, legal. So actually doing the boring stuff while making sure that everything we do is kind of on a compliance level. And letting Dimitri and the rest of the team go full crazy in terms of building great tech. So I'll pass it to Dima, if that's fine, Rotem. Perfect. So go ahead, Dima.
Hi, I'm Dima. I'm another co-founder for Subsquid. I have background in software engineering and math, and I'm building indexing software since 2019, I think. Way before Subsquid, and now at Subsquid, I'm overlooking the vision and the technical part of our development. And I pass it to Adam.
Hello, everybody. My name is Adam, based in Warsaw. I joined Subsquid in January this year as a lead network developer, and I'm helping to transition Subsquid into a decentralized computational network. I have some background in Web3 and peer-to-peer computations. Used to work for Golem Network and Parity in the past. So welcome everybody. Nice to see you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So before we start, I'd like to say thank you for sending all of these questions. We've got almost 2,000 questions from the community, so that's super exciting. Some really interesting questions. Unfortunately, we will not be able to answer all 2,000 questions, but we curated some, and I will mention some people that shared their questions. So let's just dig into it because we have a lot to cover. So Marcel, first question for you. That's from Jolie Roger 997. What motivated the initiation of this project, and what is its ultimate vision?
I was muted. This is actually a really interesting question. So let me dive back into the year of 2017-18, roughly. That is actually when I first met Dimitri. I was working on another project, and we were looking for a very smart chief scientist. And at that time, we stumbled across Dimitri, and we immediately knew this guy was a real chat. So we were lucky enough to get him on the team back in the days, and he was kind of the main guy also working on the consensus protocol. Unfortunately, this project didn't find product market fit, and our ways parted probably around end of 2018, early 19 latest. And I decided to go for business education. So I thought, okay, I have to strengthen my fundamentals, whereas Dimitri, as you just mentioned before, started working on indexing products and solutions. So we catched up, I think, at the end of 2020, early 21. And I was like, hey, Dima, what are you up to? And he said, I'm working for this video streaming platform, like a decentralized video streaming platform. And specifically, I'm creating this indexing toolkit. And I said, wait, why aren't you using the graph? And he explained me that actually what they're building is really needs scalability, and there's a heavy load. So tools like the graph aren't the perfect fit. So they really wanted this custom tailored solution. And he even told me that by the time already 4 or 5 other projects were actually building on top of his repository. And I was like, you know what? This actually seems so interesting. I think I could find an angel investor who would back this idea, and we can kind of make a spin-off and build up a standalone product. Back in the days, this was still called, codename was Hydra of this indexing toolkit. And then with the first angel investment, we decided to call it Subsquid. And basically then I think in Q1 21, Subsquid was officially created as a brand. and as a product. But the company was then founded late summer 21. And since then, yeah, we have been on the way to kind of build a data network that is scalable enough to handle the next wave of billion user dApps, because everybody's talking about all of these app chains and that applications need to scale. And with the current infrastructure on the market, it just wasn't possible. So our ultimate vision is to actually ensure that there's going to be a smooth transition from Web 2 scale applications coming to Web 3. And this is, in my opinion, like the ultimate vision, to just become one of these core companies providing data tooling and tooling for the developers in general. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Another question for you, Marcel, from
Okay.
Marvel3900. We're really interested in not just the project, but also the incredible people behind your project. Could you tell us more about the team?
Oh, sure. First of all, thanks for mentioning that we're incredible. That obviously feels great. No, first thing I would want to point out here is I wouldn't change this team with any other team in the space. I'm really, really happy about what we've been able to accomplish in the last couple of years. I'm really happy that we have not only culturally diverse team, but also when it comes to the experience we share, we have people on board who actually failed before, so they know what to watch out for in order not to fail again. But we also have people on the team who were successful with their startups. So we actually have a good balance between both. And on top of this, I would say we have a very, very strong engineering team led by one of our core developers, Eldar. He's not on the stream right now. And also, I think Adam, as a network lead, is doing an amazing job making sure that everything is on track. So yeah, overall, I think we have a team in different time zones, globally spread. And yeah, I think we kind of like cover all of the checks in terms of having a good team. And most importantly, I think what really stands out is that people actually care about what they're building here. And it's not just another project. Like when we propose changes for a website, like let's say marketing content, our developers, they completely go crazy. They're like, no, we have to change this and that, and please, make it more accurate. And this is what I really love about the team, that people actually care what we produce. And I think also when you look at the code and the quality of product, it just stands out that quality is first year, and we'd rather delay a release another 2, 3, 4 weeks and just ensure that the quality is met. And so far, I think this has been pretty successful with having, I would say, over 100, 150 B2B clients just relying on us on a daily basis. So yeah, big shout out to the team.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's go a little bit into the tech. Next question is for you, Adam. Can you tell us about the architecture of the Subsquid network?
Sure, I can, but I need to control myself because I could easily occupy the whole duration of this AMA. So I try to just give you a brief overview of the architecture as it is for now. I mean, since the Mirovia testnet launch, we have the on-chain part and the off-chain part. The on-chain part at this point is quite simple. We have TSQD token deployed on Arbitrim testnet, and we have a worker registration contract which allows workers to lock up some tokens and register that they are willing to take part in the computation. Then the off-chain part, we obviously have the worker node, which is the piece of software that our node providers install on their machines and which downloads some data from S3 storage. This data is chunked and scheduled, assigned to workers by a central component called the network scheduler. Once the workers are synced up, they can start broadcasting information about the data that they have to all the network. And there are like client nodes which could run queries against the network. They listen to the information broadcasted by the workers, and they can route queries to the appropriate node and get the results. This is this off-chain part is written in Rust, mostly built with libp2p stack. I think that should be enough for a network overview.
Thank you. Next question is for Dima from Arisa Putra 17. Could you please elaborate on Subsquid's tech and the unique features that set it apart from competitors?
Yeah, thanks. That's actually a great question. So first of all, I would like to start from like the problem, not from the tech that it's solving. So why it is actually hard? Well, it is hard because right now there is like a shit ton of data that blockchain produces, like Ethereum, Binance, Polygon, Arbitrim. They're producing data with each and every block, and currently I estimate the total data to be like tens of terabytes, and this is already quite a lot. But then you have like thousands of applications that need to query this data, and each of those implications need only a very specific set of this data. So not only you have to store this terabytes of data, but you actually want to be able to very efficiently retrieve big chunks of this data specific to each specific application. So if you multiply these numbers, you will easily get like petabytes of traffic, which is really something that is very hard to maintain if you have like a traditional infrastructure for this. So what we do, and this is indeed a very unique solution on the market, is that we get this data, we split it into small chunks, we rehash it, and then we spread it out evenly across all the network. And everyone can join this network and hold a small piece of this data. And thanks to our infrastructure and the tech that we introduced with Subsquid, when someone wants to query a specific chunk of this data, it can find the right node and ask exactly this node about the data you're interested in. And the beauty of this is that you don't really need to have any centralized part to discover, because everything works in what is called a peer-to-peer fashion, meaning that you basically listen to the whole network and you just say what kind of data they have and what network node actually has the data you're interested in, and you know like who to pick from the crowd. And this, I believe, the biggest mode of Subsquid, because we actually do have this data and we know how to efficiently store it and efficiently query it. And on top of this, we build the whole ecosystem of tooling, which is Squid SDK, Aquarium hosted service, and also we plan to integrate it with a bunch of tooling that are popular. Still, you can have some indexing solutions, and our competitors try to build it, but no one actually is even close to be able to handle this massive amount of information and query it efficiently. And this is our secret sauce that enables us to be very performant at indexing, provide free data, free access to this, because actually it is very cheap thanks to our solution. And no one is actually even close, because if you go to, say, Alchemy for RPC providers, you would pay like $100 for just I think few millions of requests, which is at most 1 million of blocks. And on Ethereum, you have like 14 millions, I think. And this is like a very basic data, right? So even like just to get very basic information across an Ethereum, you would pay something like $1,500 to Alchemy, right? And with us, you get it for free. Yeah, that's like an easy math.
Great answer. Thank you. Follow-up question for the network. from why did you choose Arbitrim Gorley for the network?
Yeah, here are gonna be much less wordy. It's very pragmatic. Like Arbitrum Gurley is just very easy to use because they have very low gas fees and very fast block times. So, as I said, all our like meat of Subsquid is really off-chain. So the on-chain part where we need smart contracts is fairly simple. It's not super simple, but fairly simple. So having just a robust smart contract platform is enough for us. And Arbitrum Correlate just like checks all the requirements that we have. That's it. Nothing really special.
Okay, cool. Adam, question for you, and then Dima, maybe you can also give your insight. What have been like the biggest technical challenge in building this network, and how did you overcome these challenges?
Well, building a peer-to-peer network like this is already a challenge in itself, mainly because you have limited control over the infrastructure and limited debugging capacities. And yeah, we obviously applied some telemetry to get more insights into what's happening on the nodes. But I think there is still a lot to work on. Like we are testing on the main net. Testing on our private testnet right now, and yeah, we need to reach out to the users, ask them for logs to send out to us. So I think this is what is really like speaking from the development process perspective. Like this is the big difference from building an application that just runs on a central server that you fully control. Dima, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I think it's like basically you told everything. I just like add that like an issue is also to coordinate everyone who is participating in the network. So whenever there is an update and you want to fix like a bug, normally you would just redeploy and the bug is fixed. But when you're building a network, you actually deal with people, and there are like I don't know 50 or 100 people who run the nodes. And in order to update the network, you have to reach out to each of them and like ask. And that's why developing and rolling out updates gets incredibly hard. So you have to think twice before making a release, and yeah, it always takes just too much effort compared to a centralized development. I think this applies to pretty much any network.
Interesting. Let's go a little bit into the business model. Dima, how will the network generate revenue, and what is the model for ensuring long-term viability? This question is from Bajo Lijo 12.
So at the bootstrap phase, we subsidized from the networks who want to provide tooling to the developers and basically ensure that the data is available for everyone who needs that. And during the bootstrap phase, we ramp up the number of workers so that we actually have capacity to serve all this data. And we also have additional tooling on top, such as Aquarium, which is paid, but it is operated by Subsquid Labs and like a normal to SAS. And after the bootstrapping phase is done, we are going to introduce premium data sets from which the clients will, like the network clients, will have to either log Subsquid tokens or pay, and this will generate the revenue. So this is deliberately done in a gradual fashion, so that we first bootstrap the capacity, and we have from one side a lot of worker nodes that actually provide the services, and on the other hand, we have a big user base of people who have experience with building stuff with Squid SDK, who know how the things operate, and then we can ramp up and add additional services. You can basically compare it with the go-to-market strategy of, say, Uber, where you first fill the market with enough cab drivers and enough cars so that people actually start using the service. And once you reach this capacity, you can also add additional services like Uber Eats or like delivery or whatever, and you can basically develop this long term.
Cool. It's funny that you gave the Uber example, because you have also mentioned Spotify, and it's something that someone asked. It's Nullix TV asked, you mentioned the introduction of Spotify-like subscription model for premium users. What specific datasets will be available to premium users, and what mechanisms will be used to determine and distribute these datasets?
First of all, there will be like high quality data sets related to the needs of the application, the indexing. So first of all, it will be high quality pricing data, and basically it will also depend on the needs of the customers. And so right now we have like a couple of ideas that we are going to develop in the future, and at the end of the day, it really depends on like the demands of the market. So we do have the infrastructure, we do have the clients, and then there are a lot of different paths like to extend this offering.
Cool. Now, question from Marcel from RX Cry. Can you provide an estimated timeline or a specific date for when the TGE for the project is planned to take place?
No, that's a short answer, but let me explain you why. So first of all, I think all corporates, all companies, especially the larger ones, but even smaller ones and startups have one issue, and that issue is kind of communicating specific deadlines. Especially when it comes to an event as a TGE, there need to be like multiple things in place in order to make this work out. So it's not only a technical challenge to ensure that the network is up and running. That's why, by the way, we're very close to testnet, and it's going to happen very soon, people. So just be aware. And during those two testnet stages, we are actually going to test the network and see if everything works. So let's make a check mark here and say, okay, we accomplished this. So what is next? Next, we need to be aware that there are market conditions. Nobody, for example, wants to launch a token at a bad time. As an example, in November last year, FTX went down, probably the worst timing ever to go out with a new token. So even if I tell you a specific date now, if something bad happens in the entire blockchain world or space, we will probably need to delay it. And then there's a third component, which I always call public awareness. And this is something, so now after like multiple years of development, we've just recently started activating our communities, and we've seen significant growth. And so we need to actually make people aware of this token, so we actually generate demand for the token, not only from the utility perspective in terms of tokenomics, that is key too, but also in terms of retail investors and people who are just interested in the project and in the token itself. So one of the key philosophies here at Subsquid is we're not going to launch a token if all of the stars do not align. We have no stress here, but we are aiming towards 24, so next year should be the year. Obviously, the sooner the better, but we just can't guarantee anything, especially right now. Everybody's aware it is a bear market. Times are pretty rough. So we're just trying to continue to build and create a great product. And here, I think we have proven that we're one of the major data tooling players in the entire blockchain space. And that's what we think will actually help us for TGE then in the future. And as soon as I know a specific date, you guys will be the first to actually know about it as well.
Thank you. Follow-up question. Considering like all the stars align and we do launch a token, being listed in a giant crypto exchange such as Binance, etc., is a dream for all cryptocurrency projects. This is a question by Justifru. Lovely username. Do you plan to list on these exchanges in the near future, or still focusing on build excellent product and attract more users?
So here I actually think there are multiple things to consider. So first of all, of course, we consider and intend to go to major exchange. I think this is the goal of a lot of projects. Everybody's dreaming of when Binance, right? When OKX, same for us. We're also working very hard on trying to ensure that we will be in a position to actually apply for these major exchanges. On the other side, the second question, which was asked if we're solely focusing on the development part, for me personally, having a great product is key to even consider going to major exchanges, because there are multiple components which these exchanges look out for. First of all, it's the technology. Second of all, you need a good community. And third of all, it's the timing. So here, all I can say again is we're working very hard. We do have the ambitions to get listed on major exchanges. And this is one of our core strategies, but we also have different strategies in place in case we will not be able to reach this goal. But right now, we're not thinking of this plan B. We're full on the mode, okay, we're going to go there, and hopefully we will make it work out. And this is especially something I'm working on personally. So I take this very serious and hope I cannot disappoint you guys. So yes, maybe one day. That is the answer to the question.
TLDR.
Yeah, basically the TLDR.
Cool. Let's go into a little bit about the community of the network. Dima, Yais Mint asked, what is the plan to get the community involved in the project and the network and help it grow globally?
The answer is that the community has been involved in the project for a long time. And here I'm talking about the community of developers and who actually build on EVM and Substrate. So this is not necessarily the largest segment of Web3, but by and large the most powerful ones, because these are actually people who are building stuff, right? And we got a lot of growth here. So we basically grow 20% month over month for the number of Aquarium users. And those are mostly developers, because even to log into Aquarium, you would normally need a GitHub account. And these are people who actually build indexers and are interested in the data. And we also have community contributions, and we got more and more issues on our GitHub repos opened by community rewards, people building squids and contributing. So this is by far the most valuable part that we got from the community. And then we also have a very active group of very early network operators who start very early and run workers for the very first Mirovia iteration of the network. And in order to grow it globally, we put all our efforts to reach out to everyone who is building in EVM and Substrate, and soon in other ecosystems, to basically spread the word. And it works. So both on Twitter, on YouTube, LinkedIn, Medium, and we just show how powerful Squid SDK is. And finally, we see that the world of mouse actually works. So people start recommending Subsquid even without our involvement. And this is how, and probably this is the only way to get like global outreach. And this is how it works.
Awesome. I will note that we do have a really active Discord community. So if you guys would like to join us and you're watching right now and you're still not a part of the community, we're a very friendly community of enthusiasts. And we also recently launched a really cool ambassador program. So if you're interested, join our Discord. And
also follow us on Twitter and subscribe to our newsletter, so
yes,
you never miss anything.
exactly. Adam, let's talk about utility a little bit, and maybe Dima will have also something to add. How is the project token utilized within the project ecosystem? What will be like the utility of things to do with a token?
All right. So the token needs to be locked by a network participant who wants to run a worker, and also other participants can stake their tokens to support this particular worker. And for being online and serving data queries, workers will be rewarded with some tokens, right? So this is the very basic functionality. We will also have token payments for listing datasets in our network, and there are more things to come, like premium and governance, but maybe Dima can elaborate on that.
Yeah, so during the bootstrap phase, the worker, the Subsquid token is going to be used to bond in order to participate in the network as a reward token, and also as a holder, you will be able to stake and get a share of the worker rewards during the token. The next is the governance function, and it is very important because it is designed from the very beginning that after 3 years, the community will have to decide what's going to be the inflation rate from which the rewards are paid to the workers. And this is going to be a very balanced decision, because from one point you will have to keep the workers, and they will also represent a big majority of the token holders. But on the other hand, you will have to minimize the dilution. So the community will decide. And finally, as I said, after the bootstrapping phase, when we got into the premium data sets, there will be a lot more utility for the tokens that in particular related to the creation of the data sets, access to the premium data sets. And in general, the more network grows, the more network effects is, the more utility you will get to the token. And it is always a dynamic process. So you will never actually build everything from the day zero. So it's like Web3 products do not really differ that much from Web2 products here as well. So the more users you get, the more utility you will actually bring to the users, because the network's effects kicks in, and also some features really make sense only when there is a critical mass of the users in the network. So it is always a gradual process.
Thanks. It sounds super exciting. Can't wait. Okay, let's go into like the final two questions that are more about the future. Marcel, Bradhay 1920 asked, can you outline the key milestones for the next 6 months, 1 year, and 5 years? I know you don't think for that that far, but like, give it a try.
For how many months? Like 6 months, 12 months,
6 months, 1 year, and 5 years.
That's like 10 years. 10 years on
That's
Earth.
like 100 years in crypto. Yeah, that is pretty crazy. So I can only speak about my milestones, and I'll probably pass it to Dimitri to maybe talk a bit more about the technical milestones. And I'm a person who mainly focuses on short to midterm, especially in a startup environment. So for the next 6 months, there's a very clear objective. This is the testnet. This is driving awareness for the testnet and ensuring that people know about Subsquid. I mentioned this awareness campaign, and I personally see the testnet as part of this kind of a campaign. On another level, we're obviously heavily working on compliance. So far, everything seems to be very good. Nevertheless, something can always happen. So I'm also ensuring that we're kind of preparing legally and from a compliance perspective for TGE. Yes, everybody wants to hear the word TGE. And after that, there's another specific goal that's probably like the mission after 6 months. I would say for the next year or maybe even next 2 years is my job is specifically to ensure there's going to be a liquid market for the token because otherwise it doesn't make any sense to even launch a token. So here I'm working with a lot of different people together. And it's just one of the things where it's hard to go into details right now, also because I'm under NDA with several different third-party providers and also with our investors. But the goal is really to create a good market, a sustainable market for the future. And this is my main focus. And probably Dimitri, he has a different focus. He's more on the technical side. So I'll pass it to him if it's fine. And you can talk about these things as well.
So from a tech perspective, one of the main goals is to make Subsquid Network compatible with all the major tooling, so that you can use Subsquid Network not only with the Squid SDK, but also with other popular tools. I also don't want to disclose too much here before it is out, but we envision the Subsquid Network going to be like a fundamental data layer for pretty much everything you can do with the historical on-chain data. From the Subsquid Network perspective, the mid-term goal is to onboard more and more networks and go beyond EVM and Substrate, because we do have capacity to pretty much gobble up arbitrary large network, and something that starts with S and ends with A going to be on Subsquid Network one day, I promise you.
Let me add maybe one more thing for like the 5-year thing. So where I do see Subsquid in 5 years is similar to what Dimitri mentioned as kind of this key fundamental data layer. And you always have to think about all of these new trends in Web3. And as an analogy, I really like to take the Tower of Pisa, which is basically similar to what we experience right now in Web3. That is like all of these billion user dApps, all of these new social applications. If there wasn't companies like Subsquid building this fundamental data layer, all of these projects would be built on shaky foundations. Similar to the Tower of Pisa, well, at the beginning it works, right? It was working, but after the time, it started like shifting away. And this is the same which we would see in terms of scalability and growth. So if the data layer is not in place, the infrastructure is not in place, great tooling cannot be built. And we've also seen this in the transition from Web 1 to Web 2, where basically all of the fundamental protocols which we use nowadays in the World Wide Web are just crucial for what we see, how the internet and how the web actually evolved over the last, let's say, 2 decades. And this is what we're actually doing here at Subsquid in a broader term. It's really making sure the core fundamental protocols and layers are in place, that great applications are or can be built and scaled for the future. That's it.
Awesome. I think you also kind of answered the last question that we had.
I'm sorry.
It's good. But what kind of impact do you envision Subsquid having on the broader blockchain space? And I think building like a core foundation for the next generation of dApps is really meaningful and is really useful. And if we want to get to real adoption of Web3, this is crucial for this industry.
Exactly.
Sorry
for interrupting.
I can also add a little bit more specific detail here. Is that I do believe that Subsquid gonna completely disrupt the RPC marketplace right now. So big players like Alchemy just got utilized for accessing on-chain data, which is not really the most efficient way to do that. And with Subsquid Network, we really disrupt, because we make it 100 times cheaper. And Basically, you don't need an RPC to get this huge amount of data. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. Definitely the costs, and will change like a lot of things for a lot of projects.
I mean, one more general thing here, just to point it out for everybody who's not that technical. If you believe in Web3, you need to believe in tooling companies like Subsquid, because we are the people who are actually going to ensure that the future of Web3 is actually going to work out. And it's the same with the internet and the World Wide Web early in the 90s. And if you look at this evolution back in the days, nobody cared about these small companies working on the protocol level. Luckily, now people are a bit more experienced and they already see these upcoming trends. And especially investors are backing this kind of ideas. That is great. But it's not only about building the next Facebook on blockchain. If this fundamental layer is not there, these tools just cannot withstand or cannot work in terms of scalability and other things. So yeah, this is really crucial.
Well said, and a great way to end the AMA. Thank you so much for joining and for contributing your knowledge. Very exciting things ahead. As I said before, if you want to join the community, you can go to our website or to our Discord and get all the information on how to join and become a part of this data revolution. Thanks again, guys, and see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. See you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for participating.
Thank you. Bye.